Howdy guys, my name's Trav and welcome to the first 2021 Brisbane Hug. I am joined here today by Liv, who you can see in the background here, who will be hosting today's Hug. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone that signed up. This is our very first time hosting a Hug, so we want to get as much feedback from you as possible. If there is an opportunity for you guys to leave a message just in the general chat, you can also, in the Q&A area, you can also leave some questions as well. I sort of encourage you as much as possible to leave ask as many questions as possible, and we'll get them answered for you. For those that we don't get around to, we'll definitely reach out to you and get them answered as well. Also, if you've got any direct messages that you'd like to send to myself, Liv, or Imanol, you can basically send it through to us as well. I have also asked if everybody's here, if they could all sort of just reach out and just let us know where you're from, maybe what company you're from as well, and what you're looking forward to getting out to today. And I did get a message as well asking, today is recorded, which is really, really cool. So we're going to record this and it should get sent out to you afterwards. Mind you, this is our very first time using the platform. The Hugs were presented in person in our local area. So for this year, we're definitely going to be doing these, I think, online, at least for 2021. But we're going to try and make them as interactive as possible and just try to make them as less boring as possible and try and get you as involved. So there's a few things that we kind of wanted to do before. We reached out to some people that we know, and we want to make sure that for every single person that joins up here, we want to make sure that you guys get something out of it to help you guys, I guess, grow better, as HubSpot says. So there's two people that we've reached out to in the short term that we wanted to give you guys something. First of all, our first sponsor is Phrase. Now, for those that are doing inbound marketing campaigns and for those that are working from an SEO perspective, these guys absolutely rule. Without getting into too much detail about it, basically what it will do, if you are writing specific content, it will look at all of your competitors, it will break down and basically give you step-by-step instructions on what content to add, what specific stuff to pull from, and also what to link from. I heavily suggest using this, and we've been using it for about 12 months, and it is like literally skyrocketing our SEO. I reached out to the guys at Phrase and asked, hey, we're going to be doing a Hug. If you guys sign up, I think that they've given us about 20% off for the first 6 months. If you use the code there, Neighbourhood 20 at the checkout, you can use this up until July the 10th. Now, we'll send you this in an email afterwards as well. So don't worry about jotting it all down. We'll send it to you afterwards. But we really heavily suggest jumping on and even checking it out. These guys are really, 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 really cool. Second as well, from a sales perspective, I came across these guys called Cloud Files. The problem I've got working within HubSpot is when I send documents to people, basically anyone can view them. These guys really, really created a beautiful tool that will actually go ahead and allow domains only. They'll give time periods. They'll set specific people you can send files to. So it basically just takes it off a completely different scope on the functionality of link sharing as well. We've been using these guys for about 2 months, and they're just a great bunch of people. I reached out to them again saying we're going to be doing our Brisbane Hug, and they've given us, what have they given us? They've given us 2 months cost at what license will apply. So if you guys head to that link, which we will send to you, I'll put it in the chat after I'm done here, and you guys can check them out. So they've given us a pretty good discount as well. In future, what we're going to do as well, I'll get to this part as well. HubSpot, we are doing 75 Hugs in 5 days across the world. So for attending today, you will all get a swag pack direct from HubSpot. What does it involve? What does it include? I've got no idea what it includes, but they're basically going to give a whole bunch of swag for every single person that attends this Hug. So what we're going to do is Liv is going to send through a link after the Hug today, and then what we'll do is if you can sign up using that link, HubSpot will directly send you a swag pack. I think usually what it involves is maybe a t-shirt, drink bottle, maybe a mouse pad or something along those lines. So check out for your inbox after the hug, and we'll send you through a link. Enter your details in there, and we'll get, or HubSpot will get a swag pack mailed out to you guys directly. Now, for all the future hugs that we've got, I want to make sure that we make it as inclusive, but also, as interactive and educational as possible. So over the next couple of hugs, I will be getting certain breweries and other stuff involved as well to make sure that we can send some beers or some wine or something like that out, just so that we can enjoy it. Probably not at 9 a.m. in the morning, but maybe if we do it an early afternoon one, we can do that as well. So that's it. I'm going to hand it over to Liv, who's behind me here, and get things kicked off. So over to you, Liv.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Trav. I just want to check before we get into it, guys, that you can all hear me okay? Amazing. Thank you so much. So awesome. I'm Olivia, as Trav said, or Liv, and I'm Neighbourhood's digital marketing specialist. I'm one of the hug coordinators here at the Brisbane Hubspot User Group. We're repping Tenerife today for those of you who are a bit more local. It's great to see so many people from all over the place. It's got Mexico City, hola. We've got Sydney, we've got Brisbane, which is amazing. We've got London as well. I'm from Buckinghamshire, so that's pretty close to home. So thanks, Imanol. Love Tenerife too. So I'm also joined today, super stoked to be joined by Imanol from Sydney. Imanol, did you want to do a little bit of an intro to yourself? Imanol's our channel manager at HubSpot, but I'll get him to say a few words about him.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. Really pumped to be here with you guys on the first virtual Brisbane Hug run by Neighbourhood. So as Liv was saying, I am a channel consultant and I work with the team at Neighbourhood and many other partners in ANZ, ensuring that you clients get the most out of the HubSpot tools you have. And I'm from Spain, as you can tell by the accent. So a bit of, a lot of cultures here. So from Spain.
Awesome, thanks, Imanol. I'm not sure I can hear you 100% at the moment, so I'll just make sure when you're doing your run through that I can hear you. But yeah, that's us. So before we get kicked off, and as Trav said, this is your community. We're definitely thinking of this as you guys teaching us just as much as we're going to be teaching you. And we are thinking of this as somewhat of a trial run. So this will shape future hugs moving forward. So we want to hear from you guys what you think we can do on our platform to ensure that you're getting as much out of being here as possible. So this really is your chance to provide feedback and shape the way these sessions will moving ahead. So as well, at the end, we'll be sending you guys an NPS survey through a link in the chat section. Just to ensure that you can provide as much feedback as you like, and so that we can continuously improve for you guys. So in terms of what we're going to be covering today, we're going to start with Imanol's section. He's going to be talking about what inbound marketing campaigns are, why you should be doing inbound marketing campaigns, and all of that good stuff. We'll learn a hell of a lot there. And then we'll be moving on to our experience with inbound and running through our steps for successful implementation after we recently did an inbound marketing campaign ourselves. And throughout, we'll be talking about tips and tricks and what you guys need to remember for your campaign ventures. So one last thing is, as I've said, we want to hear from you guys. So one big thing is that we want to hear what your experience with inbound has been like. If you've got tips and tricks to share, so I strongly recommend you look at this whiteboard, Miro board that I've put in here. It's basically a team collaboration board where you guys can stick pins. You can see I've already started you off, but super keen to hear if you guys already have any tips to share. And as well, as Trav mentioned, if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat or the Q&A section. And our inbound expert, Imanol, as well as Trav, will be in there to field them for you. So we'll start with a question. I can see you guys all in the chat already, but we're keen to hear what brings you guys here today, how you heard about us, did you hear through HubSpot, why you're here to learn about inbound, essentially. So let us know, super keen to hear. And while you answer that, I will stop sharing my screen and shut up for a bit, and I will pass over to Imanol.
Awesome. First thing, can you guys hear me okay? Everyone can hear me okay? Yes? No? Yes, great. Alrighty, so let's get started. Let me share my screen, and can I get another? There you go. You can see my screen perfectly fine, yeah? So as you can see there, my name is Imanol. Thank you very much to Liv, to Trav, and the Neighbourhood team to inviting me here today. Really excited to be part of this Hubspot User Group. And the first topic that I will be covering today is what are inbound marketing campaigns? So 3 massive keywords there that can mean a lot of things. So I think the easiest way to do it is to divide and conquer. So let's try to go through one at a time so that you can understand how they all go together, and most importantly, how can you use them for your own business. So when we look at the concept of inbound, the concept of the methodology of inbound, the flywheel, you may be saying, all right, so what's that now? Now we'll also be talking about campaigns. Who's that guy? So many questions that you can have when you think about the concept of inbound marketing. And before we move on, just to clarify, that guy there is Brian Halligan, one of the co-founders and CEO of HubSpot. As you can see there, he loves the concept of the flywheel, which is one of the core topics we will be covering today. But before we continue, I always like to ask the room a few questions to get an understanding of your knowledge of HubSpot and your expectations of the session as well. So if you can answer from 1 to 10, how familiar are you with the inbound methodology and the concept of the flywheel? If you can put that in the chat, would be really cool. 6, 8, 8, 7, okay. No one, so that's perfect. 10, all right. All right, that's a good one. 3, all right. Cool, Teresa. Hopefully after the session, you have a higher number than that, but if not, I'm sure that the team at Neighbourhood will be helping with that a lot. 9, perfect. So overall, most of you have a solid knowledge of what the inbound methodology is and what the flywheel is. So let's get started with the topic. One thing we all agree on is that customers are your best marketing channel. They can also be your worst if you don't do the right thing for them. So that's why I think the concept of the inbound methodology is so important and relevant here today. So whether your relationship is with a stranger, with a prospect, or even your customer, one thing is clear. Your business should be focused around your clients, and they should be at the core of it. A lot of businesses say that they are customer-centric, but the truth is that for them, customers are just an afterthought. Once they get them, next. And the whole point of the inbound methodology is to change that approach to make sure that you are taking those customers as well as those prospects and ensuring that helping you get new business. The inbound methodology is a combination of actions, strategy, and behaviors that you can implement in your business to ensure that those customers are contributing to your growth. If you think about your business from an inbound perspective, you should be changing that from like individual departments to a group of different people that are working towards a shared goal, and they're bringing their expertise. So it's just changing the mindset from individual to group to work toward a common goal. I'm not going to go into much detail today about the difference between the funnel and the flywheel, but the truth is that those businesses that use the flywheel methodology, they have a key benefit that the others don't. So not only the business is working really hard for their own growth, they're also using their clients to contribute to that growth. If we think about the sort of bad things that businesses that don't use this approach may face is inefficiency. So why is that? If you look at the left side at the funnel, and if we use an example there, let's say that you're working really hard to bring strangers to your website, to the top of the funnel. You create a lot of content through your marketing activities, you nurture them, you close them into sales, and finally you get them into customers. Then what? They're there, and it's quite inefficient because you need to go back to the top and start all over again. So all those weeks, all those hours, all that content that you have put together, it's obsolete and you need to go back to square one. However, if we look at the flywheel on the right side, we're using the clients to kind of bring us brand new business. So if we look at the flywheel, it's a model adapted by HubSpot. It's not something that we came up with. It's just a model adapted to explain the momentum you gain when you align your entire organization around delivering a remarkable customer experience. We're going to go into it into further detail, but I guess that this slide is the perfect example to show you the difference between how your customers can be the end of your whole journey, or they can be part of your constant growth. Now, for you as inbound marketers, I assume that most of you in this session today are inbound marketers. The main goal will be to attract the right people to your website or to your business through the right content at the right time. At the same time, you will be working with both sales and service to make sure that you not only are nurturing those strangers that became leads, you turn them into customers, and you want to offer them a remarkable customer experience. It may seem quite difficult, but the marketing tools are here to help you. So let me show you a few ways in which you can leverage those tools throughout the different stages of the flywheel, which are the attract, the engage, and the delight. So if we look at the attract, you have many ways in which you can attract the right people to the website, because I guess that's the core and the main objective that you have. You don't want to bring anyone. You want to bring people that hopefully are aligned with your product or your service, and they became your customers. That's the goal that I assume that everyone in this room is working towards. So you can use ads. You can put together a really nice ad strategy, defining your target audience to ensure that those ads are only displayed to the people you want to be displayed to. At the same time, you can create video content, blog posts. You can promote that content on your social media channels to make sure that those prospects are more familiar with what you're doing and your expertise. Content strategy is a fantastic way of creating content that can help you not only rank higher, but also be seen as a thought leader in the topic you want to be known for. Now, you have all eyes on you. Now, we want to make sure that those eyes turn into leads, right? We just don't want strangers. We want to make sure that we capture the details so that we can nurture them and show them why we are the best at what we do. So make sure that your website or your social media channels, can be Facebook Messenger, can be whatever. Make sure that you have a proper communication strategy in place to capture the details of those strangers, regardless of which channel they find you through. At the same time, not only you should be looking at those channels, but on your own website, you should have clear lead conversion paths, pop-up forms that ask them for their email address, a form that they can fill in to download a piece of content that you created on a specific topic. All that should be mapped out to ensure that you are engaging with those prospects whenever they want, in the right place and at the right time. A couple more tools. Once you've captured their information, it's crucial that you do segmentation and you use that information you have captured to define maybe a lead scoring, or maybe ways in which some leads will be more valuable than others. So make sure that you're using that, and that you're also using the power of marketing automation to nurture them on a personalized way. If you know that some of your customers are huge lovers of dogs, make sure you don't send them pictures of your cat, because probably they won't necessarily like it, but you get what I mean, right? Just making sure that you're segmenting your your database based on the information you have about your leads. Really, really powerful. Which brings us to the delight phase. So marketing tools can be really, really helpful on the delight phase as well, right? We want to get those leads that we got through our content, through our pop-up forms. We want to get them into leads, into customers, sorry. So you have a bunch of tools that you can use to make sure that they also have a really unique experience with you. Smart content. Make sure that you are not showing the same content twice. If I'm a customer, I don't want to see the same content that I received when I became a lead. So make sure that you're using all those things, using shared inboxes. Shared inboxes are a great way for you to ensure that all the queries that come through all the channels that you have live are answered accordingly by sales teams, by service team. And everyone is working as one, as a unified team, to make sure that the customer gets the answer that they're after. And final one, make sure that you use attribution. So that tool allows you to see how all the different assets, those ads, those blog posts, those videos, all that content that you have created have contributed to the creation of those leads. Fantastic way of talking to sales and telling them all this content is creating those leads that you should be working on. So as you can see, marketing can help you a lot throughout all the different stages of the flywheel. You may be thinking, yeah, great, you are talking a lot, but how and where do my customers fit into all of this? So in this case, this particular flywheel, it's not spinning, but I guess you got the concept from the previous ones. Your customers are the force that move that flywheel in the right direction, but they can also be source of friction. If you don't do the right thing for customers, they may not talk really well about you, and that can actually spin the flywheel on the other direction, which is not what you want. You don't want those leads to move away from you. So make sure that you are aware that customers are present throughout all the phases of the flywheel, as strangers, as prospects, as customers, and ultimately, you want to turn them into promoters. Now, I hope this is relevant for most of you. Now I want to talk about a particular approach or strategy in particular. So I guess that the question that I have for you, second question for the group, assuming that most of you or all of you are HubSpot users, are what level of subscription do you currently have? Perfect. Nice. A lot of enterprise customers in the room. Love it. A lot of professionals as well. Nice one. In this case, this tool is relevant for all of you because campaigns are part of the professional and the enterprise suite, so you will be able to use them in your own portal. I promise I'm not going to be sharing any more flywheel images with you. When I was putting this together, I noticed that I had way too many, so no more from me, I promise. So I'm sure that all of you are familiar with the concept of the campaign. It's probably one of the most overutilized terms in business. You have those, ad agencies with award-winning campaigns, and you have maybe a small business that is running an email campaign to get the attention of their customers. Couple of examples of what campaigns may look like. This is a perfect example of a campaign, what we're doing today, right? Making sure that we're sending you the invites, we're sending you all the emails to ensure that you are participating, and then we're going to be sending you follow-ups. All the assets that have been part of this experience today are a great example of a campaign. If you are on e-commerce, maybe an example of a campaign can be putting together a list of the clients you got for the last 2 months and send them a unique code for them to redeem on your website. So as you can see, it can mean many different things. But the goal or the reason why you should be using campaigns is when you have a number of assets, you have all the call to actions, all the forms, all the emails, all the content you've created, and you have a specific goal to achieve over a specific period of time, that would be the key reason why you should be using campaign. Couple of things you need to consider when, well, a bunch of them actually, when you are thinking about using campaigns. First of all, what is the purpose of that campaign? It can be promote a new product. It can be to boost the engagement of the users. So make sure you know what's the purpose of that. How are you going to measure that? Very, very, very important. Using campaigns will make no sense if you don't have a clear goal. And this is something that is probably one of the most important parts of all the questions. The campaign needs to be tied really, really closely with the goals that you are achieving, that they're trying to achieve, sorry. So is it to promote a new product? Is it to increase brand awareness? Is it to, whatever it may be. So make sure that you are across all that. Target, who's your target? I guess that this aligns really well, and I know that Liv will be talking about this in the next slides, but you need to align that with your buyer's journey. What's their interest? What are the pain points? Make sure that you are answering all those. And the same with the concept. Make sure that it aligns with the mission and vision that your company has and what your potential customers expect from you. Some of the things I want to go through all of them just for the sake of time. How and when will you publish? You need to have a timeline for that, right? It's just not a matter of like launching different things without any sense. You need to have a nice timeline to ensure that the end of the timeline reflects the goal that you're trying to achieve. So all the assets are in place for that. And finally, what will you do with the data? You're going to be capturing a lot of data, and data without any purpose makes no sense. So making sure that you're sharing the relevant data with maybe the CEO of the business or with sales to show them the interests that your clients or potential clients may have. So use all that data, leverage all that data to close the gap between marketing and sales, and making sure you're helping them to close those leads and turn them into customers. why you should be using campaigns. Not all businesses may want to use it. So in my opinion, the best way to prove why a tool is useful is by using data or results. So a couple of metrics that I wanted to share with you. HubSpot customers, professional enterprise customers actually, who used campaigns saw an average of 62% more website traffic. That's huge. Not only that, we also know that 68% increase in form submissions was a result of customers using campaigns. So the results are there. Great way and great reason to convince you to start using this approach of using campaigns. And also, this may not be as significant as just a 2%, but it's an increase in the contact growth, which means that getting more contacts, more leads that you can work with, that you can nurture, pass them to sales, to close them into customers. So now over to you, Liv. I spoke a lot. I hope it was not too much, yeah, thank you.
Not at all. Thank you so much, Imanol. I even feel like I learned more about inbound hearing you talk about it. So thank you. I'll just share my screen now. Fabulous. So again, thank you so much, Imanol. That was super helpful for everyone here, I'm sure. I am keen to know, though, how many of you guys have actually successfully launched an inbound marketing campaign, seeing that a lot of you are on enterprise, a lot of you are on professional, and a lot of you are across the methodology already. Can I get some yeses or nos as to whether or not you've successfully launched a campaign yourself? Oh, amazing. Awesome. That's so good to hear. If you answered yes, obviously that's awesome. I hope you can take away some like tidbits of advice or a more basic strategy to move ahead with, something to keep in mind. But if you answered no, like like Bianca, thanks. If you answered no, then you and us both until very recently. Before launching the campaign that we want to discuss with you guys today, we had tried inbound marketing campaigns in the past to no real avail. As someone who's been in your position, if you haven't had much success with inbound marketing campaigns and not knowing where to really get started and overwhelmed at all the information out there, because there is literally so much, I could have used a really basic process to just work off that I knew followed best practice and would deliver results at the end of the day. So that's what we're hoping to give you guys with this segment of the presentation. Nothing over the top, just the meat and potatoes of inbound marketing campaigns, so you guys have got the basics down pat. Again, in no way are we saying that this is the correct or the only way to do it. I'm sure you guys that have done them before may have done it a slightly different way, but it's just easier, I think, to start off when you have a basic framework in mind. So the framework itself, this is the process, our process anyway. So we start with strategy. We move into planning, development, launch and promotion. We hit that big red button. We look at further content development, testing and measuring, and then reporting on our successes or our failures so we can do better next time. So we're going to start off assuming that this is a quarterly campaign. Out. So 3 months out, and we're going to start strategy phase. I do just want to stress as well, it's great to see you guys over in that chat area, but if you have any questions, please chuck them in there. This is your hour as well, so get as much out of it as possible. Trav and Imanol are ready and raring. So the strategy phase, what's the point of all of this? You need to know where you are to know where you're going. So before going head over heels and going straight into it, you need to take stock of the current traffic coming to your site and the leads and customers generated by similar campaigns you've done in the past, or what's currently happening. To do this, you can conduct a discovery session. So talk with the team about your current challenges, what you've tried, what has or hasn't worked, and what your overall goals would be for a campaign. This is where you'll be setting SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. I feel like everyone's across that acronym nowadays. And you'd also look at industry research. So biggest spot for inspiration is seeing what your competitors are doing. Something that I would have been really helpful at the time is if you're trying to set goals and you haven't done an inbound marketing campaign before, like some of you guys, if you're looking to set goals, just think about 10 to 15% above what you're currently getting as sort of just a benchmark for success. As well, buyer personas, super important. Buyer personas are basically the foundation of all of our content and all of our marketing efforts here at Neighbourhood anyway. They're essentially the guiding light for all that we produce. For those of you unfamiliar with buyer personas, they're essentially a semi-fictional representation of your ideal customer. So they basically just give you a better understanding of your target audience and allow you to tailor your content and all of your marketing activity towards their pain points, needs, wants, all that sort of thing. For those of you who are familiar with them though, and I assume the majority of you, what goal do you think that your buyer personas have that you could look to capitalize on as part of your campaign? And I say this because as part of our campaign, we were focusing on this persona here, which is one of ours, called Mary, the marketing manager. So someone like me, essentially, and their biggest pain point, their biggest need is leads. So that's something to keep in mind. But think also as well about what specific goal your specific persona could have that you guys could capitalize on with your next campaign. We then move into the SEO and SEM strategy. So once we have an understanding of who we're targeting with this campaign, it's important to understand how people are searching for your content through keyword research. And this is really where this comes into play. The keywords that you uncover in this stage will act as the blueprint for your campaign content strategy moving forward. So when we did keyword research and once we had our buyer persona, we found out that they were looking for the words content marketing. So far, knowing this, understanding that our buyer personas were looking for leads and the keywords that with the greatest search volume that they were looking for were content marketing, our quarterly campaign therefore came about as content that converts. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. It definitely was a shining light when we thought of it at the time. So what would that involve then? We've got our idea. Let's move into the planning phase. Awesome. So if anyone has any questions at this point, obviously let us know. Trav and Imanol are still in there answering those questions for you. But now we're in the planning phase and we're about 2.5 months out. So giving us 2 weeks to do the strategy, we now have 2 weeks to get in and amongst the planning. So planning the content, as Imanol mentioned a bit earlier on, it's all about the buyer's journey. So your inbound campaign is literally built on the content that you use as part of it. But in terms of what you actually write your content about, you need to focus on answering the questions that your buyer persona asks before they actually choose to do business with you. So how would you know what these questions are? Well, it's all about the buyer's journey. So depending how you prefer to think of it, whether it's a historical funnel or whether it's the buyer's journey itself, your content needs to map to each of the stages of the buyer's journey. So first off, we've got the awareness phase, where people are problem aware and they're looking for answers, resources, education, research data, opinions, all that sort of stuff. Just remember here that for visitors who see this content to become leads, this content needs to be gated. So it needs to be behind a lead generation form. Next down the funnel or the next stage in the buyer's journey is the consideration stage. People here are solution aware and they're doing heavy research on whether your product or service is a good fit for them. And last of all, at the bottom of the funnel, you've got the decision stage where people are provider aware and figuring out exactly what it would take to become a customer with you. So you can see some examples of types of content for each stage of the journey there. So at awareness, things like blog posts, consideration, case studies, and decision-free trials. So if you guys just have a think, or even just chuck in the chat to help out some of the other guys, if you have any content at the moment that you can think you could map to each one of these stages or examples of things you're currently using to move people through their buyer's journey, that would be great. I know for us, for awareness stage in particular, we really ham up our videos. We focus a lot on videos, as well as blog posts and social media. For consideration, we do a lot in the way of tools, things like editorial calendars, ebooks, that sort of thing. And we have heaps of case studies as well. Be sure to check those out. So it's great. Imanol's just put in here. Exactly. They're also perfectly aligned with the flywheel stages. So attract, engage, and delight. So it all makes sense. So with your content mapped, you then need to start considering how you're actually going to get this content out into the world. So firstly, you've got your blog, if you have one. And this is the best way to encourage organic traffic to your website, to increase visibility and reach of your campaign. As well, you've got your promotion channels. So you need to think about the channels themselves that you're going to use to get word out about your launch. So are you going to use email? Are you going to use social media? Are you going to use ads? You have to think about all these things. You've also got Cro Test Planning. So Cro stands for Conversion Rate Optimization, and you want to set up a roadmap to ensure that you've got a plan for what you'll test. So once you've got all your assets set up, for example, all your landing pages are set up, you need to have a roadmap in place to know what you're going to tweak with those landing pages, with those blogs, with those ads, to make sure that you're continuously improving them over time. So they're not just staying there stagnant and you're just crossing your fingers hoping they'll work at some point. You have to change with the times. Last of all, you've got to consider your conversion path, or rather basically just how people will interact with and download your content on your website. So that is the planning phase at quite a high level. So just everything you need to consider. I hope everyone's doing all good so far. Again, if you have any questions, do let us know. It gets pretty dense in this next session. So yeah, let us know. So development now, the fun bit, and we start this roughly 2 months out from our launch date. And this is definitely something I wish I knew at the time, about a quarter ago, to give yourself enough time to develop your content and develop everything so that it's not a mad hurry right before the launch day. So content development, which was my personal favorite part, and it's the all important stage. So thinking about what valuable, helpful content you're going to offer your prospects to help them solve their problems and essentially just make their life easier, because that's all what inbound marketing is about, hey. So let's look at what we did for our campaign, Content That Converts. So in mapping the content to the stages of the buyer's journey, we started off with awareness. So this is where we created a personalized ebook that acted as a lead magnet that provides the downloader content ideas based on how well they're currently converting. So this is about a 50-page document. Took a bit of time to write. I'm not gonna lie. I'll send you a link to the landing page after this if you guys want to check it out just for some inspo. Then as consideration stage content, we created a content strategy slide deck that gives our buyer personas everything they need to present their content plan to the team. So once they've got these content ideas from this awareness stage ebook, they're then able to just plug and play them into this slide deck. With the understanding as well that our marketing manager persona is super time deficient. She just doesn't have time to do stuff herself. We saw that this kind of slide deck, where it's all kind of there for her, she just has to, as I said, plug and play, would be super beneficial, and she'd be more than likely to download that. Finally, we have our decision stage content, which is provider focused. And this provides the reader an overview of what our content marketing rollout for clients looks like and how we might be able to help them in execution. So it's where things get a bit more, we kind of pass over from marketing into sales. So we have that alignment happening there. Next up, with your content developed, then it's now time to look at how you're going to be able to convert these prospects into leads with your conversion path. I'm a sucker for an analogy, so I've put in here that a conversion path is a bit like a wildlife documentary. It's really just an excuse to have David in here, but you basically lure an animal in, you capture it, you tag it, and then you release it back into the wild. So that's how you can think of your conversion path. But it's made up of 4 pillars. So you've got your call to action, your landing page, the form, and then the thank you page or the thank you email. So let's go through each of them in a bit more depth. I'll just check out this Q&A. Awesome. So the first thing is the CTA development. So this is your bait, essentially. So a CTA, if you're not aware, is your call to action. And it's basically an image or a line of text that prompts your visitors, leads, and customers to take action. Clues in the name, it's quite literally a call to action. In terms of what a good CTA looks like, these will most likely be in your blogs or other content that you're putting out there into the world to get your campaign known. But in terms of what a good CTA looks like, you want to make sure that you make it stand out. It's in a logical place. You use action verbs to incite action, include a picture to make it a bit more attention grabby, and split test it to make sure that it's working. In terms of where your CTA should go, we would recommend you do a link style CTA above the fold, which is what I'm showing in this GIF over here, and a picture CTA at the end, like this example down the bottom from our campaign. And this is a GIF as well, but we're A/B testing these at the moment to see if we can encourage more clicks. Now we've got the landing page. So from your CTA, the landing page is where someone is going to land. You want to make sure that you're using similar language that you used in that call to action, so people know that they come to the right place. Some tips for this is to limit the number of actions on your landing page. So remove all navigation, which is landing page best practice, so that they're tunnel visioned to your offer and they have no real option to head out anywhere else unless they exit. On your landing page, you want to clearly articulate the value of what's being offered to the visitor. You want to match expectations, establish credibility, maybe chuck some logos at the bottom, some reviews, and also decrease the page load time. If your page is taking a while to load, people aren't going to sit around and wait, they're going to exit. So be sure to keep that in mind. The form, so this is on your landing page, and to be honest, the most important part, because it's literally how people will download your content. You need to make sure though that your form isn't too long and it isn't too short. It's what some people at HubSpot are calling Goldilocks Syndrome. So ways to do this is to ensure that you're using a lot of white space, spend time crafting a really grabbable CTA, ensure that you're not wasting anyone's time. So where you can, use radio buttons to minimize typing, 100% ensure that it's designed to be usable on mobile as well. And only ask for the information you must have. So you can see here, we're just asking for first name, last name, email, and then a buyer persona question, so that we're able to tag that property to contacts in our CRM. And last of all, we've got the thank you page and the thank you email, which is the release. So in a lot of campaigns, we find that this actually goes kind of unnoticed or is even skipped in some places, but it's super, super important. Not only, as it says here, to show appreciation and confirmation, that's kind of a given, but you also want to make sure you explain how to access the offer. So, hey, check out your inbox, like we'll be in there in a second. You also want to add links to your best blog posts or a secondary offer. It's a great place to house other content. Also use social proof and testimonials. It's a great place to advertise that and make it social, link it out to your Facebook, and also reintroduce your navigation. So reduce the bounce rate and just make people stay on your website for longer by just having your navigation at the top again. Now, in terms of email development, then, there's two separate areas I want to talk about. We've got email development for promotion to start. So your promotional email is basically the news that breaks when you launch. It's telling everyone in your contact lists about your offer to get the ball rolling. So you could consider personalizing the content in these emails based on the receiver's relationship with your business. So you could change the content using smart content, as Imanol mentioned earlier on. For old customers, is it leads that never quite converted, new leads, or even lost deals? Or you could do a bit like we did and add in a segment in your monthly newsletter to promote the campaign as just a bit more of a natural way to promote it. Now, the other part of email, and I'm aware I'm flying a bit through this, guys, so if you have any questions, do let us know. I'm hoping this makes sense. And just a reminder as well, this is recorded, so you'll get the recording. We've got lead nurturing. So this is the most important part because it's literally how you're funneling people through your buyer's journey and giving people that other content, getting them closer to a sale. So knowing that you'll potentially get a bunch of emails in your CRM, you don't just want to let them sit there. It's all about building relationships with lead nurturing in a way that's super contextual and reaches out to leads when it makes sense to them. So let's look at how we're going to do this. To put it into a bit of context, we'll have a look at ours. For our campaign, we set up 3 workflows, each targeted to a different part of the buyer's journey. You can see here that as someone downloads our awareness stage content, they get enrolled into the first workflow, where they'll be sent roughly 5 emails, pushing them helpfully to the consideration stage content. Once they've downloaded that, they'll be plugged into the next workflow, which urges them to download the decision stage content. And then following this, we can kind of infer a pretty high level of interest. So we plug them into a final sequence to see whether or not they want to talk to sales. We're currently in the process of testing the number of lead nurturing emails that encourage maximum conversion. So we'd be keen to hear from you guys if you're using the workflows tool in HubSpot, how many lead nurturing emails you guys use as part of just a generic workflow. I know for us, we're using roughly like 4 to 5, across these 3 workflows. there's probably 5 in each. So we'd be keen to hear from you guys what you found to be kind of a best practice number to encourage people to convert. Let's hear them. One other thing I'd mention as well, especially if you're doing like a 3-stage workflow like this, is to definitely utilize the goal feature inside workflows, which will unenroll people if they meet the enrollment criteria for the next stage in their journey. So in this case, if they download that next stage content piece, they're not going to receive uncontextual information if they do that. Just some tips for lead nurturing as well, and please chime in if you have any other tips for lead nurturing too. But one big one here is that these emails need to convey thought leadership with other valuable information and content you've written to position you favorably. As well, you want to ensure that these emails stay super focused so you're not overwhelming people with too much information, because you are in their inbox after all. And you can see some examples on the right-hand side here of our lead nurturing emails for this campaign. As well, you want to keep it short. They need to be bite-sized so that the receiver can glance at the email and know quickly of the value that it will give them. And next, it also needs to have a natural progression. So carefully planning the flow of your emails will help you create well-rounded campaigns that pull your leads through the sales funnel. A great way you could also do this is including a PS section at the bottom of your lead nurturing emails that basically allows people to skip ahead in the sequence and move them to the next stage of their buyer's journey. We're basically just giving people every opportunity to convert without being too in their face about it. Now, blog development. If you're an old timer in the digital marketing world, I feel like we all know why blogging is so important. But if you're a little more green or you don't have a blog, it's essentially the #1 way to build organic traffic, encourage greater reach of your website and services, and build thought leadership and trust. So as part of your campaign, you want to create roughly 3 to 5 blogs that utilize the primary campaign keyword. So in our case, content marketing. And then building off these secondary keywords for this topic were things like content in inbound marketing, content calendar, content services. So these other keywords therefore formed the blueprint of our blogging strategy. So we then made our blogs using these other keywords. Another thing to keep in mind, especially if you're doing a campaign, is to link all of these blogs together, and as a result, link them to a pillar page utilizing that campaign keyword. This will basically be an all-in-one article if you're not across pillar pages. It's an all-in-one article that links out to all of your blogs to essentially create like a spider web style linkage between all of your content and encourage better traffic and rankings. We've had ours live for about a month now. We had it since we launched the campaign, and we are looking to optimize it. I will send you an example in the recap email as well. If you guys have a pillar page or have any examples of really good ones, or if you've used the pillar page tool and have actually found success, we'd actually be really keen to hear about it. I know it makes a lot of sense, and for us, it looks kind of obvious as to the effects, but I think it is kind of a slow burn with pillar pages. It takes a while for the algorithm to kind of pick up on it. So would be really keen to hear if you guys have any experience with them or any good stories. In terms of promotion then, we've got the 4 pillars. So we'll start with social media. You can see here we really focused on our design, and we created this separate brand for us for our campaign, so the Content That Converts brand. So I've put in some statistics here about why good design is so important for your campaign, but some ideas for other things that you can do in social media that will spice things up are things like changing your Facebook cover photo, creating a personal hashtag, definitely creating enough content that you can punch out over the entire period so you're never left dry, and creating Facebook and Instagram stories in your campaign branding so that you're just penetrating every channel possible. You've also got email. I obviously mentioned the promotional email, but one thing I do want to mention, if you guys are sending a lot of emails, which I assume you're all probably busy people, you're in your Gmail all the time. So create an email signature, super easy to create, make it a GIF and add it to the bottom of your email signature. Just ensure that you create a tracking URL inside the campaigns tool so that you're able to track the number of clicks to this email signature and ensure that you're able to link it back to the campaign. You've also got your website, the most obvious place, basically your shop window. For us, we created a pop-up on our homepage, basically just a CTA that takes people to the landing page. But also you want to create a content library to house all of your resources on your website, and include a link to the offer to download on your product pages or thank you pages that align with this specific topic. So I know for us on pages, on our service pages for content marketing services, we have this pop-up on there as well to make it super contextual. And lastly, we've got ads. Depending where your buyer personas are on the internet should basically spell where you choose to advertise. The very best thing about going down the ads route is that you're able to reach people that you otherwise wouldn't on the platforms that you know that they live on. So in our case, we focus primarily on Google ads and LinkedIn ads for the type of audience that we were targeting, so young professionals. However, we've also looked into YouTube pre-roll ads to target people on a different platform entirely, and with a completely different advertising medium. We just love video. So there we go. Once you have all of your assets, you can basically just link it up. Link it up inside that campaigns tool, ensure that they're all in there at every single asset. And then you're basically ready to hit that big red button and launch. Just ensure, obviously, that before you launch, you've tested that everything's linked up correctly. Your landing page links to the email, your CTA is linked to the landing page, all of that sort of stuff. You don't want to be left worrying once you've turned it on. So just do heaps of tests. I know I sent myself about 50 test emails, so it's all good. Once you've launched, you may want to have some other carrots to be able to dangle to your prospects. So thinking about other content you could use are things like webinars. Webinars are one of the best ways to generate leads. They're very good consideration stage content. They're super affordable, they're easily repurposed, and they have a long-term value. And there's loads of webinar softwares that plug in with HubSpot as well. So be sure to check that out. As well, I couldn't possibly be here without not mentioning video. We're really honing in on video as a primary source of traffic and leads to our campaign by capitalizing on the fact that YouTube is essentially its own search engine. It's massive. We also embed these videos on our blogs as well to increase our SEO. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And another, while we didn't use podcasts this time round, we are super keen to get on the podcast train. Obviously, everyone knows about the power of podcasts in this day and age, but would be really keen to hear from you guys if you have a podcast and what kind of benefits you guys see. And we've got continuous improvement. So as I said at the beginning, we'll have that roadmap of things that we're going to test. But these are just some of the tips that I could think off the top of my head that we're currently doing to improve our campaigns. So this is where we're looking into conversion rate optimization, and it's all about continuously improving our campaign, not just turning everything on live and then just leaving it there and hoping for the best. We've got to be active and proactive in making sure we're getting as much out of this as possible. So for the purpose of time, I won't list all of them. You guys have got them there, but there's some examples. If you have any others, feel free to chuck it into that Miro board that I sent you guys. That will also be sent to you in my recap email, so you have that on hand. And last of all, we're going to check the numbers. So we need to do a reporting check. Once all of your assets are set up and associated with your campaign, you'll notice that the metrics in the campaigns tool will reflect accordingly. However, these aren't the only metrics you should be looking at. You can also look at things here like your visitor to contact rate, click-through rates, submission rates, engagement and interaction rates. And these are all across, so your website, your landing pages, your emails, and your social media. So you're really looking at every possible channel. If you're like us and you're not really sure what you should be aiming for, we've got some stats here on what success looks like. So things like a landing page conversion rate of 25%, a visitor to contact ratio of 3, an email open rate of 20 to 30, and 30% of your traffic coming from an organic source. So they're just some things to keep in mind on that. So that in a nutshell is basically our process. Super simple, and obviously, as I said, with further content development and however big you want to make your campaign, really spells how much more deep you'll get in terms of your process, but that's pretty much it. So strategy, planning, development, that'll take you 3 months. You launch, in that next 3 months, you look at further content development, continuously improving that campaign, and then reporting for campaign success so you can do even better next time. So that is pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today. I've put a link there for you guys to see our campaign in action, so feel free to scrutinize as much as possible. But I hope it will show you that we are practicing what we preach. And yeah, feel free to get some inspiration from that. As I said, I'll send you the recording as well as that Miro board. I'll see if any of the other guys in the office have anything else to add to that board, and I'll send you that in the recap email. If you enjoyed today's event, please hit up that NPS survey, and that will be sent to HubSpot and to us to just see how we can improve next time, what you guys want to see. I know in our next event, we're hopefully looking to do a sales hug with Trav, and that is super, super exciting. Obviously, content TBD. A massive thank you to Imanol for joining us today. You super helpful, and we definitely owe you a beer for all your help. And yeah, we'll be back in July. We do have a couple minutes, which is great if you guys have any other questions. But for now, that is pretty much it from us. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Sam and Molly and Julia and Andres. Are there any other questions, guys? I've got a couple minutes. If not, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks, Jordy. Thanks, Doran. Martin, to answer your question, in terms of creating buzz online, I think that comes a lot from traffic that you're generating, creating a buzz on social media, the number of shares that you're getting, all that sort of thing. I think when you first launch the campaign, the buzz really comes from people talking about your campaign, everyone in your company sharing social media posts and that sort of thing, and really building buzz, so to speak, at the top of the funnel, so that all those people are then funneling through the campaign. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to you. Thanks, Miguel and Carla. Thanks, Martin. Awesome. Well, if there aren't any more questions, guys, we've still got a couple minutes. And this will be sent to you as a recording as well as that swag link. So make sure you get onto that. Awesome. Well, I'll wrap up now with no more questions. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day.